Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a new update video on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well. A quick update on what's been going on over the last day or two as we head closer to the return of the Premier League, a return to Molineux as Wolves host Crystal Palace. I'll be back with my match preview tomorrow for that. We'll have the opposition perspective and the latest from Rob Edwards' first pre-match press conference as Wolves head coach in that video tomorrow. But today, a little catch up on what's been going on with players returning from international duty, a couple of transfer bits and pieces as well. First, we have had the news today that Paul Trollope, current coach at Southampton, will be joining Wolves as part of Rob Edwards' coaching team. Started work today, I believe, and definitely will be with the squad for this weekend's game anyway. We already knew about this one when the sort of breakthrough happened between Rob Edwards, Wolves and Middlesbrough. Paul Trollope was one of the names mentioned that was going to be joining Wolves. It's taken a little bit longer than expected for it to come through and come to fruition, but he is now part of the Wolves team. I'm sure in due course Wolves will put official confirmation of that out there. There are, like I mentioned a couple of videos ago, 2 or 3 more members of staff that I am expecting to join it with Rob Edwards, but nothing is imminent other than Trollope joining. Nothing's imminent as of yet, but I'm sure over the next week or two things will get bottomed out and Rob Edwards will bring in a few more members of staff to add to his team. Now looking at a little bit of transfer news, Jhon Arias has been subject to a little bit of speculation over the last few days or so. Not having the best of times so far at Wolves. I think a lot of Wolves fans feeling a little bit disappointed with his performances, his quality of performances, his cameos so far. And we watched the Club World Cup Championships where he had a fantastic tournament, ended up in the team of the tournament in there, had a really decent time in Brazil again last season. But yeah, like I said, not going well for him so far. One of the teams that reportedly interested in him is Galatasaray, the Turkish giants, eyeing him up as a potential signing. Teams in Brazil are still also keeping tabs on the situation. Going into the January window, that's sort of their pre-season as such. So it would be a good time if he were to leave Wolves. It'd be a good time for the Brazilian teams to take advantage of that. But as of right now, reports in Colombia, a Colombian journalist had posted earlier on today, Julian Capera, has said that despite real interest, so Galatasaray and so on, who do have real interest in Jhon Arias, there is very, very little chance that he's going to be leaving Wolves this January. If he were to leave, at the very earliest, it would be the summer. It's thought that there is some sort of release clause if Wolves are to be relegated, which is going to be around the €22 million mark. So just under £20 million. So Wolves wouldn't really lose much money on Jhon Arias if that clause is activated. But ultimately, we need to see a lot more from him. Hopefully, the way that Rob Edwards coaches, the way that Rob Edwards puts the team out, we can start to see the best out of Jhon Arias. Because we've seen little glimpses here and there, but overall, just not enough. I think he's not really been playing in the right role, not in the right mentality. You look at his defensive numbers; they're very good, but ultimately, one of your forwards or your right winger, you don't necessarily want him to be having the most tackles per 90 or whatever on the pitch, you know. So we need to get a little bit more out of the qualities of Jhon Arias, and let's hope that Rob Edwards can do that. Now, like I said earlier on, the internationals are returning. It's been a very interesting international break. Some huge success for certain players and their nations, in particular Jørgen Strand Larsen, David Müller-Wölfe. They have, alongside Norway, have qualified for the World Cup for the first time since 1998. A good break, I think, for a couple of reasons for both of those players. Müller-Wölfe had a huge amount of minutes across the 2 games, played the majority of both of those games, 175 minutes plus for him overall. Got an assist in their first game against Estonia, and he got the assist against Estonia, and then Jørgen Strand Larsen against Italy came on towards the end of the game and scored a goal to wrap it up as Norway beat Italy 4-1. So he only got just around 10 minutes, including his added time minutes, Jørgen Strand Larsen. But just with that limited game time, the fact that he's got himself a goal, you could see how ecstatic he was, by the way, that he pretty much helped Norway, although it was already pretty much done, but helped secure that win and top of a fantastic victory that is for Norway. that can hopefully give him that confidence. It was a brilliant solo goal. Give him that confidence to start putting the ball into the back of net in the Premier League for Wolves as well. Another player who had a successful break, Jhon Bellegarde, obviously switched his allegiances to Haiti earlier on this year. He has had a very, very good couple of international breaks with Haiti, being picked out as one of their better players. And they have also qualified for the World Cup. They won their CONCACAF group in the World Cup qualifiers. And they've qualified for the World Cup for the first time in 52 years. He played the majority, in fact, he played the entirety, sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up today. Played the entirety of those 2 games for Haiti. Both of those, I think Jorgen Strand-Larsen have already been pictured back in Compton, so he would have been working with Rob Edwards already. Tolu Rokadare, Jackson Chichua, both had disappointed ends, I'll say, to their international breaks. Jackson Chichua and Cameroon. He played the full match for Cameroon, but they lost to DR Congo in their playoff semi-final to reach the World Cup. So he won't be going to the World Cup in the summer, unfortunately. Tolu Rokadare also won't be going, although Nigeria beat Gabon 4-1. He came on as a late sub in that game. In their final against DR Congo, he was subbed on towards the end of the game, then subbed back off in extra time before Nigeria lost on penalties. But he had a lot of stick online about his cameo. So does that put a dent in his chances perhaps of going to AFCON? We'll have to wait and see. Other players, Emmanuel Agbadou played 90 minutes out of the 2 games that Ivory Coast had. Jhon Arias, who I mentioned earlier on, didn't feature in their most recent friendly against Australia for Colombia, but it did have a really decent cameo in their 2-1 win over New Zealand. He played the majority of that game. Santiago Bueno went away Uruguay, didn't play a single minute. Tawanda Chirewa played just one half of in Zimbabwe's 2 games for 45 minutes overall for him. And Hwang Hee-chan, a really weird international break for him as well. 76 minutes for him as South Korea beat Bolivia 2-0, but then came on as a substitute in the second half against Ghana, which I believe South Korea won 1-0, but he missed a penalty, and it was an awful penalty by Hwang. Again, puts huge question marks over his confidence as a football player right now. And can Rob Edwards start getting a noise, getting confidence, getting a sound out of players like Hwang Hee-chan, who we all know is really struggling right now and probably should not be in this first team. But we've all seen the qualities that Hwang Hee-chan has had as a football player in a Wolves shirt. So, huge ask for Rob Edwards. And under different managers, you normally see different players excel. Will Hwang, will somebody else, will Jhon Arias, who I think we were all deep down, we want it to work out for him. It'll be exciting to see. But Saturday soon is going to be the debut of Rob Edwards for the first time as head coach in the dugout as well. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for the match preview for that game. And of course, all the reaction after that match as well. As always, hit the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll catch you all very, very soon.